As you can tell, I'm on Route 66. Yes, getting my kicks on Route 66. And I stumbled across a little gem of a motel, and I have to make a video on it. Not only is this a 1950s, 1960s time capsule, it's such a quiet, safe, relaxing motel. I mean, even with all that going for it, there's another important story here. This is where they filmed the Disney movie, The Cars. Remember back, I think it was 2005, Disney had that movie, The Cars. We'll get into that later. Let's take a look at the inside of the room. The rooms have been remodeled. So in the last 10 years, new owners have came in and they've remodeled the place. The Corvette Club comes here every year and they take up every room. Really is a nice motel. It's right on Route 66. It's technically it's in Peach Springs, but it's sort of like on the outside. As you can see, the bathtub and everything, the motel is very, very nice. So I wanted to tell the story of not only how nice of a motel this is on Route 66, but I also want to tell another interesting story, and that's the Disney movie and the crew. When the crew was staying in this motel back in 2005, it was not remodeled like this. Matter of fact, it was in disrepair. And as the story goes, the film crew was very bitter and angry because they had to spend a whole month here in the motel. But remember, back then, it was not remodeled. Okay, we'll get into that later. Look at the nice little wood chair here. So what we're going to do here in this video is give a little tour. I want to give a tour of the motel, and it's more than a motel because it's also like a campground compound, and a mile behind this motel. This is the most interesting part. A mile behind this hotel is the Grand Canyon Caverns, and it takes you down 25 stories into some caverns, the Grand Canyon Caverns, and that's the name of the motel, the Grand Canyon Caverns Inn Motel. Okay, so before we get to the Disney movie and the story about the cars, let's take a little tour on the outside and look around a little bit. Vintage cars everywhere. Now, they try to run this place like a mom and pop joint. One of the owners is there most of the time. He was really friendly. I was talking to him, and he was telling me the story about how Disney did not give the motel any credit. And anyhow, it's run like a mom and pop joint. They take care of you, and there's a lot to do for the children too. It's just not an adult motel. If the family is taking a Route 66 vacation, all kind of things for the children to do here. Very, very nice place. It's quiet, it's relaxing, and most importantly, it's safe. So right now we're looking at the old gas pumps. And then after the gas pumps, we're going to go inside and take a look at the inside of the lobby and where they have a continental breakfast. Now, I got lucky and I got the room for the night with no reservation, but if you're taking the Route 66 trip across the country with a family, you probably want to make reservations here because it's very popular with the auto cars clubs. And what do we have here? An old switching board for an old telephone system. The old operator lady would sit there at her desk on the old telephone systems and punch the calls through on the switching board. The young kids would know nothing about that today, now would they? Do you guys have like a coffee and donuts in the morning or anything?
We have a continental breakfast. You have bagels.
Bagels?
Cream cheese.
Uh-huh.
Hot and cold cereal. Danishes.
The whole 9 yards?
Yes.
Okay. What time does that start?
5 o'clock.
5 till?
9:30.
Oh, thank you.
9.
That's a cool little room you got here. How long have you guys been open?
Since 1962.
This has been here 62.
Yep.
The year I was born.
Yep. Me too.
And you're same year? 55, huh?
Yeah, actually, it used to be like a truck stop. It was a 24-hour restaurant.
The
It's
game?
like a meeting area for AOA.
Meeting room?
Yeah.
So you have people come here and for meetings and stuff, don't you?
Well, yeah, we have the Corvette Club here. We have AOA here. We have the GCC River Runners here. We have.
So they come once or twice a year. These guys, don't they? Like yeah, the Corvette.
The Corvette Club and stuff's once a year.
Once a year.
But AOA comes throughout the whole year.
So when the Corvette guys get here, I mean, they take up every room probably, huh?
Oh yeah.
Every room.
Every room.
that's.
Yeah, we're already booked up.
Are you?
So yeah.
So here we are. That's the old sign, the Cavern Inn. Now I think it's called the Grand Canyon Caverns Inn, but it's much more than that. Like I said before, it's a compound. A mile behind the motel is the structure that takes you down into the caverns, an old 100-year-old elevator. We'll talk about that later. So this might be a good time to talk about the Disney movie. Because, see, like I said, the Disney company, they had the whole crew staying here at this motel for a whole month. And as I said before, it was in disrepair. It was not in as good a shape as you see right now. And the crew was bitter and angry. And I believe that the director did that on purpose. I guess he picked out a motel that wasn't all that great. He wanted the crew to be angry and bitter. I don't have the time to go into why, but supposedly that's what the director wanted. And but here's the interesting story about that I find weird. Now, so Disney has their whole crew set up here at the motel, and of course they're filming in the area. This is not the only spot that they're filming the movie. They're filming the movie in many different places, but they were here for a month, and they refused to give any credit to this motel. Now, a lot of the Route 66 clubs thought this was wrong, so they told Disney, hey, you got to give the motel credit. And Disney responded with, no, we don't have to give anybody credit. We're Disney. So I didn't really realize this, but apparently Disney does not give anybody credit for anything. It's all Disney, Disney, Disney. I'm sure there's probably some exceptions out there when they take in $1 million whatever. So anyhow, I thought this was an interesting story. Now this old gas station here, you see that mid-century modern cover. There's not very many of those around anymore. Now in the movie, it was called Radiator Springs. Now there really is no Radiator Springs. Like I say, this motel was set on private property. It's on the outskirts of Peach Springs, Arizona, and technically their mail would say Peach Springs, Arizona. And I highly recommend going to this motel. If you're taking the Route 66 trip, I highly recommend it. Now here we are a mile behind the motel. And this is where you go down in the caverns. I thought this big petrified log was really, really cool. And so after we look at the petrified log, we're going to go inside. We're going to go inside the structure where they take you down into the caverns, because it's also like a restaurant and gift shop. So I'll show you. We're going to do the tour, the all-around tour here, and I'm going to try to show you everything I can, because quite frankly, I think you need at least 2 or 3 days here. There's so much to see. There's so much to do. I think you should reserve for 2 or 3 days. Now here's the entrance. It says the Caverns entrance. We're going to go in there in a second and look around. Oh, here we go. Now this is where the restaurant is. If you wanted to get food, a sandwich, hamburger, or whatever. The wood-burning stove was actually working and putting out heat while I was there. So after we get done with the, okay, this is the elevator. Now this is a pretty interesting story. This is a 100-year-old elevator, and it came out of Phoenix. It took them a couple years to blast a shaft down to the caverns. So it took them 2 or 3 years to use dynamite, and they blasted the shaft down, and then it took them probably another year to put this old elevator in. This elevator is solid, almost 100 years old elevator, very solid. So this is the elevator that will take you down into the cavern, about 25 stories down. Like I said, very, very interesting place to go to. Highly recommend it. And why don't we close out the video looking at the dinosaur park. Here we go. The dinosaur park. So I hope you enjoyed this video and have a good time getting your kicks on Route 66.